Hi, my name is Shane. I use she, her pronouns, and this is the second session of what was supposed to be a one-shot game of Cthulhu Deep Green, running Operation Fulminate from the Delta Green Handler's Guide. Like I said, it was supposed to be a one-shot, but I had to leave midway through our previous session, so we'll just be picking up the story from there. But firstly, I guess I'll just ask you both to introduce yourself, your actual self, and your agent self. Drew, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Drew. I use he, him, and I will be playing Agent Rook, the anxious biologist who definitely just ran into some kids with a car.
And Will?
Hi, my name is Will, and my pronouns are he, him, and I will be playing Agent Rowan, the FBI agent who has seen some shit in Delta Green, and is wondering why the hell the biologist was assigned to. Yeah, is freaking the fuck out because we're running through the forest being pursued by small children, from what I remember. Small children and giant men. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a giant as well.
Yes.
Just to mention, we had a longer discussion about safety tools at the start of the last session. But just as a reminder, the lines and veils that we've set out are lines on sexual violence, non-consent, suicide, and racism, and a veil on consensual sex. Especially for anyone who might be watching, there is a good chance that there will be some harm, certainly peril to children in the adventure today. So if that's something that might bother you, it would be great to tune out now. The game was organised, I should also say, through the Gauntlet role-playing community online. If you're interested in joining us, finding out more, playing some cool indie story OSR type games, you can find out more at gauntlet-rpg.com. All right, I think that's all the preamble that I wanted to preamble. Is there anything anyone else wanted to cover before we get started?
Would it be okay if I use a different dice roller room just for myself, or
Sure.
rolled physical dice or whatever? Just because roll with me is blocked on my computer. So
yeah, I'm totally happy for you just to roll an actual dice or whatever works for you.
Cool, thank you.
So I might just quickly recap where we're up to, if that's useful. All right. So you were both sent by the project to Trailhead Ranger Station in the Hetch Hetchy region of Yosemite National Park on the 4th of July weekend, where rangers had discovered an anomaly. A 6-year-old boy named Brandon McGill, who went missing in the park 40 years ago, but on being found appeared to have remained 6 years old, or still be 6 years old. Your investigation has uncovered some further strange and disturbing details. Brandon has a web of fine scars covering his body and a mysterious tattoo on the back of his neck with a small lump beneath it. And there is a second identical boy also answering to Brandon McGill, who you discovered later elsewhere in the park. Excuse me. When you tried to take the Brandons out of the park, despite a torrential rainstorm, you were stopped by a horde of small children throwing themselves violently at your vehicle, as well as a giant with apparent psychic powers. And as we left off, you were fleeing into the woods with both Brandons in tow to escape the children and the giant. And just as a reminder, your orders from Delta Green are, or were, some of these you've done, to locate and identify the child, to determine whether there is an unnatural threat in the area. If so, eliminate the unnatural threat, and regardless, ensure the situation appears mundane. Is there anything that you wanted to ask about or clarify just in terms of where we're at in the story or what's already happened?
Well, if we were at Trailhead Station, we were clearly going down Evergreen Road, right? So we've gone south.
That's what I assume.
Yeah,
it's the only road out of the station, out of the park.
We're somewhere running into the open wilderness area, just off the map, I imagine. Like to the south of it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. I mean, when you repeat the objectives like that, I'm seeing one objective that I don't see any way of us achieving.
Which one is that?
Eliminate the unnatural threat. Given that when I tried to shoot one of these things, I had a vision of killing myself with it. So we're currently both of us sprinting with a different version of the same child.
Yes.
In our
So
arms up a hill.
If I recall correctly, Agent Rowan has the first of the two Brandons you found, and Agent Rook has the second. I might just ask if this is a point where you'd like to mark your anchor to take a home scene. So you both have relatively high stress. One thing that you can do, either now or whenever it works for you, is to mark your anchor, and then you can get a home scene, which essentially is a flashback to the person at home who kind of drives you to do this stuff. And then you can try and reduce your stress with a dice roll. Would either of you like a home scene at this point?
Sure.
All right.
Would you like to
So
go first?
yeah, so just mark your anchor on the character keeper, and let's see. So you can mark an anchor to receive a flashback that represents the strength you draw from your connection with your anchor. So yeah, just describe, you remember something about Michael back home. Tell us about the scene that you recall.
So back home, Rook and Michael are like, they are the party hosting people, and so they're often having people over and scheduling dinners and board game nights and whatnot. And during one of the bigger parties, as seems to have happened again, Rook got called away, and then came back a couple days later, a little rattled, a little shaken up, and thus began the strain.
All right. Well, do you want to roll? So you can roll 1d6 and reduce your stress by that amount.
Right. A 3.
All right. So reduce your stress by 3. What do you think Delta Green or anyone else will tell Michael if you don't come back from the park? Do you think anyone will tell him anything?
Maybe some story about a mudslide while investigating a new found piece of flora.
Fair enough.
Very tragic.
Yeah. Agent Rowan, do you want to mark your anchor?
Yes, I would like to mark my anchor. I'll mark James, my nephew. And I'll roll the dice. I got 4, so I'm down to 1. Yeah. I think that the way that this scene is shown is that I'm running up the hill with Brandon like bundled up, right, like holding him, and the camera like is following me as I run up the hill in like the rain and the thing, and it you got the children running up the hill behind me and the giant and just looming over the whole shot and blurred, and it just cuts to Rowan running with James, his nephew, like holding him up and like in the back garden or in a park somewhere, like playing with him basically, and then it just like the shots like intercut between the two of them.
Yeah, so you really remember like why you do this. That's great. The just to change that a little though, you won't. The giant and the children aren't visibly following you, so you don't have much visibility, through the dense woods and the heavy rain. But you definitely don't see the giant as you kind of glance back over your shoulders or the children.
Oh yeah, maybe that was like right at the start as we were sprinting from the car, in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. What you do faintly hear is the sound of someone destroying your vehicle. You hear the car alarm go off before long. You probably hear breaking glass before you get too far away, and then more faintly the sounds of metal being struck or rendered or something like that. What do you do now?
I think we've run into the trees, skidded down another ridge. We're all covered in mud and things, and we both come to a crash down, holding these two alien children. Grab Rook's shoulder, panting for breath, and put Brandon A down. Look at Rook and go they got the car.
They got the car. This is not what I expected.
Fuck. Fuck. We gotta loop back. We gotta go back.
Back? Say we keep going. Just away from that.
It's another 40 kilometers to the road, Rook. We're not gonna make it. In this weather with these two.
That guy gets us.
Shit. Do you do much hiking, Rook?
Not when I could help it.
And I click the gun and look up at him what the fuck? As I'm putting another round into it, after firing it off earlier, checking the clip and everything in the rain. And I go fuck. Well, I'll follow since you're the expert here, I guess. Sarcastic as hell.
Brandon A will interrupt by letting out a sharp scream, and you realize that he's just noticed that the other boy is identical to him.
How does the other boy react?
Well, he notices the same thing, and he starts to react as well, but he's more scared of the scream than he is freaked out by recognizing the resemblance. What do you do?
So just Brandon A was the one that we met in the ranger station?
Yes.
Okay.
Brandon B had you kind of smeared mud on his face to help conceal his identity, but the rain has washed it mostly away.
Right. I think Rook will kind of rush over to Brandon A and put his hands on the kid's shoulders and kind of turn him away and say, Brandon, I know, but we need you to you need to be brave right now because we have people, very dangerous people, after us.
Do you want to make a roll to see how effectively you calm him down?
Sure.
So a human die for something humanly possible. I don't suppose an occupation die for this one. And a dark die if you would like to risk your mind or body.
Imagine if you'd been a child psychologist or something, right? That might have been.
That could have been useful.
Do you think Delta Green recruits a lot of child psychologists? Maybe there is a big call.
I'm going to say in my continuity, Delta Green deals with a lot of people that you deal with trauma and things like that. Yeah.
All right. I think I'll not roll a dark die.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's a 5.
A 5. So on a 5, you succeed and may get an advantage. The handler decides what it is. So Brandon does calm down pretty noticeably. He's still pretty freaked out. It's still raining pretty hard. But it seems like both Brandons are kind of warming to Rook as the kind of only person who's showing them much support or compassion in this very stressful situation.
Yeah, Rowan is swearing and looking around, scanning the tree line for anything that's heard this noise even over the storm.
You probably don't see anything, but you hear more distantly this time the sound of car alarms going off. And I think at this distance you don't hear any damage to vehicles, but you think it's coming from the car park outside the ranger station.
Fuck. They went to the ranger station.
Should we call and warn them? Tell them to get out of there? Can we do that?
Agent Rook, your phone rings.
Oh,
Who is it?
It is Head Ranger Keener.
oh boy. Do you want to take this?
I answer the phone and just pick it up to my head without saying anything.
Agent Rook?
I'm just listening. I'm a secret agent who last time I was there stole 2 children, a child that he knows of, and until I know what I can use out of this information, I'm not
All
speaking.
right. So he yells for Agent Rook several times. He says, Agent Rook, I don't know if you can hear me. The children are both missing. I have no sign of your fellow agent. The last I heard, there was a bear attacking. Something strange is going on. I need to speak to you urgently. Please call me back on this number. And he'll end the call.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would think. There's no way I want him to know that I'm still running around, right? I just want him to tell us information. We go back and help them, or we leave. There's just the 2 of us, Rook.
I know. Helping them is not exactly part of the mission, but not helping them isn't doing that whole containment thing very well.
He pulls out a second gun from his waistband, like a drop piece kind of thing. He's got 2, and he hands the other one to Rook.
The children both gasp as they see, you handing guns around.
Yeah.
Rook would turn to Brandon and say, Brandon, what's your middle name?
Both the children at the same time say Edgar.
Right. And he'll point at Brandon A and say, we're going to call you Brandon. And the other one, we're going to call you Edgar. That okay?
The dungeon master smiles happily with this, but the children seem a little freaked out. But he'll say that's okay.
No, that's just like Grandpa used to call me. Yeah.
Brandon A will say, it's coming. I can tell.
What's coming, Brandon?
The tall man.
How do we stop the tall man, Brandon?
He looks at you blankly. He probably looks to your gun.
I mean, I know what the DM does when I try and shoot the tall man. So. And I think of the times that the gun has not worked on the things in the past, and the bloody mess that was left behind. Okay. Well, Rook wants to go back to the ranger cabin. Rowan is swearing along the way, but will definitely, doesn't think that we have much chance of making it out, surviving this storm in the wilds. That neither of us are, the biologist can tell you what a leaf looks like under the microscope, but yeah, I guess we work out. We avoid the path. We try and cut around, kind of thing, because we know that the children run the path.
Okay. So as you sort of chart a route back towards the ranger station through the woods, you hear the sound. You hear a sound ahead that sounds like it could be heavy footsteps approaching you. It's hard to make out through the rain.
try and hide.
Rook as well.
Yep.
All right. I'll get you both to just make a basic roll to see how effectively you hide.
Cool. I'm going to include my stress dice in that. I might argue that being an FBI officer has trained me in, like firefights and stuff, which is basically breaking line of sight and not
Yeah,
being
I'll
seen
take
by
it.
people. Cool. You have to be an advocate for your own character, right? Otherwise, you're gonna die.
Sure.
My insight goes up by 1, but I do get a 6.
Sorry, your stress will go up, not your insight.
My stress, sorry. Yeah, I'm used to playing basic
that's
Cthulhu
okay.
Dark. Yeah.
No worries.
I got
So
a
on
4.
on a 4. Okay, so on a 4 you succeed competently. Tell us about your hiding spot.
Well, Drew, would you like to?
Sure. He grabs let's say Edgar, and kind of with a hand gently over Edgar's mouth, he kind of starts to put his back to a tree, but then he realizes there's actually like a big hollow in it a little further up. So he kind of scooches along and just kind of squeezes himself as small as possible into the space in the tree while looking out at Rowan and the other kid.
Out of my 6, I succeed brilliantly and get something extra, right? So, what I would like to say is that I push Brandon out into the middle. Is it Brandon I've got, and you've got Edgar, right? Yeah. I push Brandon, and I just say, like, it's going to be okay, kid. And then you just hear footsteps running away. And I am basically like, if something is following us and it's going after Brandon, I am going to be lined up perfectly with to take even a psychic giant by surprise with a bullet to the back of the head.
Okay. Rook, how do you react when you see? I think that works. That works for me. Agent Rook, how do you react when you see Brandon is like running down the path? I mean, I guess he like stumbles out into the middle of the path, looks a little confused, like looks back at you. But then he
I
clearly.
like to imagine he doesn't even know where Rook is. Like Rook hid away, and so like Brandon is now like, guys, yeah.
But then he clearly, I mean, I assume that you can see him. Like you said, you have a good, like you're lined up for a shot at the giant, so you must be able to see out of your hiding place.
Oh, I can see him, yeah, but he's doing exactly what I want, yeah.
Yeah, he clearly sees something that isn't in your line of sight yet, and he starts running south, like as hard as a small child could possibly run.
Cool.
And the footsteps get louder.
With that 6, does that mean that the footsteps are coming past my viewpoint?
Yeah, they are going to come past your viewpoint.
Cool. And I count. It's like it's the camera is on me, like my fingers clenching around the pistol, right, and the rain dripping down my head, and the sort of the eyes narrowing as I'm like I'm waiting for my chance to take the shot. Like,
yeah. Agent Rook, so you don't know that Agent Rowan has lined up the perfect shot, but you do know that the boy you were sent to find is like running by himself down the trail with the giant's footsteps approaching. What do you do?
I think just kind of hoping that Rowan knows what he's doing. He'll push himself as far back into the hollow as he can, and one hand over Edgar's mouth, and with the other he's got the gun like crossed over his chest, ready but not so ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think that Agent Rowan can just make a regular basic roll, but I'm going to roll a failure die to get that perfect shot off at the giant. I'm not going to impose harm as a condition, like automatically on this combat roll, because you succeeded so well in hiding.
Nice. I can re-roll with the dark dice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I won't include it at first.
All right. And I'm just going to roll one failure die.
Okay, I got a 4 as my highest dice.
Oh, I got a 6 on the failure die.
Well then, I'm going to re-roll all of that with the dark die, and let's see what happens. I have to get a 6 to beat it.
Yes.
Boom. Ah, fuck, I'm using roll for your party, and it was a 6, then it changed to a 5. So my stress goes up. I think as... yeah, well, you tell me what happens and how I
So
suddenly...
you're not going to try and roll it again?
I've already done it once. I think you can only do it once, can't you?
So I think in the rules for Cthulhu Dark Green, it suggests that you can just keep trying. Yeah, it does specify that you can keep trying if you want, but
Okay.
that your stress will go up each time that you know that it would go up.
Okay. They risk insight and stress.
Just stress.
Just stress. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. It's because it's the same mechanic for insight as well. Yeah, you know what? I really want to do it, so I'll give myself another 3 in 6 chance of doing it. I'll mark it again. Nope. And that's the end of that chapter.
So you get off a couple of shots, but they maybe even hit the giant, but they don't really seem to bother it. Let's see. Can you actually? The giant turns towards where you're hiding. Can I just get you to make a stress test for that?
Sure. That's lower than my current stress.
Okay. So you feel the giant kind of probing something around inside your head, and then both of you feel the giant speak to you, and it says, "I only want the boy. I don't need to hurt either of you. Wait here." And it continues in the direction that Brandon ran.
With the amount of stress that I've just taken from that, I wonder if maybe it's like a psychic kind of pain kind of thing. I'm like, fuck. And we've still got Edgar, right?
Yep.
I stagger over to that hollow. I look down and I go, Edgar.
He looks up.
Who are your parents?
Sorry, Agent Rook, do you uncover his mouth so he can answer?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have this in front of me, but he tells you his parents' names correctly.
I'm just asking him all the stuff we asked the original Brandon. Yeah. What does he know about the tall man? Who is he with? Does he remember those? You know what I mean?
So he gives you essentially the same vague details that the first Brandon did. He can be quite specific about what his life was like with his parents. If you're asking things like that, those details are clear. But his experiences with the tall man, he's much vaguer about and clearly doesn't remember all that well.
So exactly the same as the first Brandon was then, as Brandon was even.
Yeah.
Okay. Which just leaves me just as confused as before because it doesn't seem to be particularly interested in this one.
Or he doesn't know about this one. Hasn't realized.
But one of them's got to be the real one.
Does it?
Fuck. Bullets didn't slow that thing down. I don't know what to fucking do, Rook.
I mean, I think you might have the sense that you didn't get the perfect shot that you needed to take it out, but you don't it wasn't completely impervious to the bullets.
Yeah. But
it's just going to be hard to take it down with a gun, but maybe not impossible.
Yeah, but we only brought pistols. You know what has bigger guns? The ranger station. The ranger station has got rifles. what's it called? Armed for bear, as they say. So, but can we leave Brandon? Which way is Brandon running? He's running south. He's running away from it. Yeah, he's not running towards any of the locations on the landmark. Then the Devil's Chair or
No.
the dam or what do you want to do, Rook? How do you want to play it?
What other choice do we have? If we don't want him getting the kid, we have to get some bigger firepower.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the ranger station, try and grab some big guns, and then I guess head back out on the hunt again.
You hear footsteps rapidly approaching the two of you.
Big footsteps or like normal footsteps?
Like the footsteps of a child.
Oh no.
Yeah, whip around with the gun.
Ditto.
Brandon emerges from the rain and the dark and the foliage, and he's running towards you, but then he pulls up sharply when he sees you both have guns pointed at him.
Brandon?
But yes! What? It died! It followed me, but it died.
The tall man died?
Exploded!
How did it explode, Brandon?
He looks unable to answer that question. He just looks confused.
I beckon him over, holding out my hand. Come on, kid. Come on. We're going to get out of here, okay?
He nods. He looks like mildly traumatized. Probably not even that mildly by whatever's just happened.
Out of character, I know that Brandon's psychic power has just kicked in and obliterated this creature that's following him. In character, I'm as confused as fuck as ever. But treating this kid a bit like a hand grenade right now. We're still going to go back to the ranger station, I think. I think they're going out on foot with the kids running around the forest and more of these giant men and things like that without the guns and a vehicle or anything is, not going to happen effectively. So,
so you'll be able to get back to the ranger station. What are you going to tell the rangers?
Do we see any sign of the children first?
No, you'll make it back to the ranger station without encountering any other.
Are there any vehicles still intact in the?
The vehicles have all been destroyed.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's still in a drivable condition.
Yeah. I swear, looking at all of the wrecked vehicles, Rook, don't take this the wrong way, but maybe lying isn't the best thing a biologist does.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you do the talking.
Okay. I can't think of what fucking story I'm going to tell that'll spin this shit, but okay, we just need to get inside. Regroup. Okay. We bring the kids. Let's bring the kids. Okay. And we come into the ranger station with the kids. Guns holstered, I think, and out of view. Although probably we smell faintly. I smell faintly of gunpowder, even in the rain.
Even in the rain.
Yeah, from what I understand of guns.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So there's still lots of backpackers in the main common room at the station, and the head ranger is there. He's been on the phone and he puts it down as he sees you come in, and he walks over, like smiling, happy to see you.
Yeah.
and kind of saying, "Oh, thank God, the kids are all right. Let's get you all somewhere warm, some dry clothes."
Yeah, make sure the kids are okay. Brandon just went off running into the forest, and we had to go after him. And Rook found the other kid. Whoever took these children still is out here.
His face really falls at hearing that, and he kind of gives you a nod of like discreet understanding, and he kind of cheerfully says, "All right, kids, let's go upstairs. We'll get you warm. We'll get you some food."
I really like this ranger guy. He's reassuring the alien children.
And he leads both children away upstairs.
I sigh heavily. And can I identify like the ranger's office? Like their
Yeah. You know where his office is upstairs.
Yeah. I nod to Rook and I say, "Let's get the shotguns."
Yep. Shotguns sound good. Are there any other rangers around, by the way?
So Maria LeMay is in the building somewhere, but you don't see her in the room.
Yeah, my feeling is, let's see if we can get the shotguns ourselves, and if we can't, then we'll ask the rangers for getting the shotguns, right? But I'd rather be in control of them than ask civilians for permission.
I bet there's something in here about any weapons they have at the station. I mean, you've definitely noticed that the rangers do carry sidearms.
I think a range, like a park ranger station in America would probably have like rifles and stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you've been in the station before. You've got a bit of a feel for the area. You've noticed there's a storeroom to the west of the common area that you're in now. There might be a secure gun locker or something like that in there, or otherwise the head ranger's office is upstairs. That might be another plausible location for them to keep the weapons.
The head ranger's office, I think, because it's also got the more chance of Ranger Rick leaving his keys lying around.
So you're both heading up to the head ranger's office?
Yeah, and as they're going, Rook kind of goes, "Is it weird that he didn't notice that the two Brandons were two Brandons?"
Maybe he's just really unobservant. We can deal across that broad when we've got something to cross it with.
Right, like a shotgun.
Yeah.
But
I look very worried at that suggestion as well.
So as you head upstairs, you see the head ranger is kind of, up and down the hall. He's collecting towels. He's trying to find t-shirts and stuff like that to get the kids as comfortable as he can. He nods to you as you pass.
Yeah. Well, if he's seen me, then I go Ranger, we're going to need access to the weapons locker.
He looks surprised at that. I'm not supposed to let anyone except station staff access the weapons rack.
I understand. However, somebody took a shot. I was out in the woods.
He visibly pales. Do you want to just make a basic roll to see how effectively you can convince him?
Yeah, sure. I don't think my career really rolls into this. Do you think? I guess I'm using my authority as an FBI officer. Would that count?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm going to re-roll that with my stress die because I got 1 and a 2. Oh, goody. I got a 6 on the stress die, so my stress goes right back up to higher than it was when I originally rolled. I'm so glad we did that home scene. Yeah. So I get a 6.
All right, but you succeed brilliantly. So I think on a brilliant success, he's going to tell you that he's going to tell you exactly where the locker is. You know, he has this like hard think about it, and then he hands you a key ring with a key on it. He says, "Go, you know, right there in my office." Um, he also says there's some I don't know if this would be any help, but there's some confiscated materials down in the storage locker downstairs. You might find something useful in there as well. There's definitely some strange stuff that we've taken from campers.
I raise one eyebrow at that. And then I guess we have the tulip scene. One of us goes, grabs the shotguns. One of us goes downstairs and checks it out.
Right. So who's going to do which?
Rook will go downstairs.
Okay.
You're the scientist. You might know what shit he's talking about.
All right. Well, let's take our break here so I can figure out what sort of weird stuff they might have confiscated from the campers. We'll come back about 5 past the hour.
Have you ever seen the Green Box random generator?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I'll see you guys.
All right. See you soon.
Right.
I have got no clue what to do in this situation.
Yeah.
Beyond just give the kid over to, the bad guys, or who knows this are the bad guys, right? But like,
Yep. Well, it'll be fun to see where this goes.
well, down in the supply room, they've confiscated a rocket launcher from one of the
That'll
campers,
help.
I guess. So yeah.
Hopefully that'll help.
All I remembered about this scenario before was that there were creepy children and giant men involved, and we've got to that so far.
That seems to be a good summary. Yeah. Creepy children and giant men.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Are we good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So Agent Rowan goes to collect some rifles from the head ranger's office. Agent Rook, you head downstairs to see what's in the storage locker. On your way down, Maria LeMay, the other park ranger, steps up to you in the common area and is kind of like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
She looks at you doubtfully.
Things are a little more complicated than we first. We're having a hard time getting a hold of Brandon's parents, and but we're working on it.
Should I be worried?
Well, we heard some strange noises. Might be some bears out there. Maybe...
Bears didn't do that to those cars. What is going on here?
Oh, the cars. Mountain lions? No. Like seeing that it's just not working, he just goes, "We don't know what's going on here. We're working on it. Please just believe that we're on your side."
I guess her eyes widen, but she accepts that and goes back to what she was doing, helping some of the backpackers, and lets you continue down to the storage area. I might just get you to make a basic roll, not so much for success, but to see like how lucky you get in terms of what's in the storage locker.
Come on, rocket launcher. 4.
4. We get on a 4. You succeed competently. Okay, so I guess you find like there's quite a lot of kind of really crappy homemade knives and nunchucks and inane teenage weapons and stuff like that. Maybe a bit of fireworks that they've confiscated, and yeah, you probably will find at least I guess one assault rifle and some armor-piercing rounds for it.
All right. That sounds useful. I think he'd take the fireworks too.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, some gun fonder has been, exercising their Fourth Amendment rights in this national park.
All right. And Agent Rowan upstairs, you collect a couple of rifles from the case. Do you want to? Are you just taking? Well, sorry, are you taking 2? Are you going to take more than that? I guess they're probably a rack of 6 rifles.
Yeah. What I am going to do is take take a rifle for each of us. 2 rifles and a bunch of shells, and close the locker up and lock it, and put the keys firmly back in my. Take the key for the locker off the ring, and slip it into my pocket.
Okay.
And then go and speak to the head ranger and ask him how are the kids. Did he see what happened to the vehicles?
Okay. So you head back to the room where he was attending to Brandon and Edgar. Only one of the children is in the room. You can see some wet clothes lying on the floor.
Edgar?
The child looks back at you yes.
Where's Brandon?
The head ranger said he had to take him somewhere.
Stay here, Edgar. And I come barreling down the stairs to find Agent Rook and head out into the whatever this is.
Yeah, so I guess both of you probably come out into the common room just in time to see the head ranger about to step outside with one of the Brandons draped over his shoulder. The backpackers begin to scream as they see Agent Rowan walk into the room carrying 2 rifles, assuming you are still carrying the 2 rifles.
Yeah, but over my shoulder, kind of.
Okay, maybe not.
What I do. I tell you what I do.
Scream.
I tell you what I do on the way down. I grab a ranger's hat, put it on.
Okay, so they don't scream, but there's definitely
these are Americans in the national forest. They're probably all packing themselves.
Yeah, they're already freaking out. It's not helping.
No, of course not. Well, I have no, tune all of that out, and I just go, Kina.
He does not stop.
Straight after him. All
right. Agent Rook, you're probably closer because you're coming from the storeroom rather than down the stairs. Do you want to intercede? Do you want to say something or do something?
Yeah, I think he'd just shout out, "Put the boy down!" And to Agent Rowan or to Keener? The intercession.
Oh, well, either, I guess.
Kind of look at Rowan, see the reaction there, and say, "Where's the other one? Is he okay?"
I just yell out again, Kina.
Kina does not pause. He's opening the door. He's going to step outside unless you do something.
Cool. I push past these people, and I think as Rook puts his hand and asks that question, I just push away and then start. I think right as he grabs the hand, I just push one of the rifles onto him, the rifle on that shoulder onto him, and then run towards Kina, hand reaching into my jacket as I go.
Is your intention to stop him? To what are you actually trying to do when you get to Kina?
When I get to Kina, my intention is to. I'm hoping to, because he feels as though he's walking out the door, and I'm still quite a ways behind him. It feels like I'm hoping to basically catch up with him just outside the door, and
okay.
Basically just grab him and find out what the hell's going on,
Yeah. So you're trying to grab him, okay?
Yeah.
And Rook, are you going to follow, or what are you going to do?
I think I'll follow and kind of got the assault rifle on. They come with straps, right? That's strapped on his back,
Sure.
and he's kind of fumbling with the other one, or the non-assault rifle, and he'll rush after Rowan, assuming the non-answer was that both kids are involved here. So,
Okay, so both of you get outside in time to see the head ranger walking towards a semicircle of 3 giants.
is it still raining?
Yes, it's still raining quite heavily. Brandon isn't moving. It looks like he's probably unconscious or dead.
I yell, Keener. He's approaching the guy. Does it look as though I might be able to run and tackle him before he gets to the giants?
You can try. Rocks will start just flying generally at the two of you, and I'll get you both to make a stress roll to see if you're able to avoid the rocks.
Okay. So just a stress roll?
Yeah. I think that, to an extent represents physical harm as well as mental stress.
I fail. I have a 6, so now I'm at 6 stress.
So I believe you're going to acquire a disorder at this point.
Yes, I am.
Is that right? Let's see.
Where is CDG?
Okay. So we give your disorder a name, but really we're just trying to work out what it is that prompted you to hit 6. So whether it's the sight of the giants themselves, or whether it's like concussive force, or whether it's objects flying through the air. I'm happy for you to define like what it is that's pushing you over the edge here.
I think it is a huge rock crashing down in the space that I just like as I duck to one knee, it just goes straight past me and like demolishes something much larger and heavier than I am. Would have killed me instantly if I didn't just avoid it, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's like maybe what's going to prompt the disorder to kick in future is like projectiles. Does that sound right?
I would put it maybe as like like shell shock, like kind of loud noises, like
Loud noises. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So reset your stress to 0, and let's loud noises. So confronted by loud noises, you'll see there's a note in the disorder box or a comment that lists the 4 reactions that you can choose when confronted by loud noises. Cool. So let's make a basic roll to see if you can get to Keener before he hands the child to the giants.
Well, I would like to. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make I think an FBI officer counts for running and tackling a suspect.
Sure.
It's a 4.
4. So on a 4, you succeed. So you manage to tackle him to the ground. Brandon's body falls from his shoulder and rolls a little way further towards the giants. One of them standing and walking towards where you're lying. What do you do? Well, hang on. Sorry, Agent Rook, you're like further back. So I think Agent Rowan has taken down Keener, but both of them are on the ground now. You can see one of the giants advancing towards their position. What do you do?
I think I want to set a firework off at them.
Like as a way of attacking them, you mean, or to distract them?
Distracting at the very least. Yeah. If it hits them, cool.
All right. Well, I guess you can make a combat roll with the firework. That works. So an agent attempts an action that risks life or limb. The handler will treat them to a terrifying vision of their inevitable injury or demise. If the agent rejects this version of events, they may choose to rewind. So I think that the vision at this point is that they will hit you with a rock and you will be injured if you attack them with the firework. Do you want to go ahead with it?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So I think you'll take the harm, bleeding head. So yeah, just as an injury. So that's like a pretty big cut that's going to need stitches. You know, it really rattles you, but you get the firework off and just make a basic roll. I think. Hang on, let me just double check the rules. Yeah, you roll the dice. So just a basic roll to see how well you succeed with the firework.
A 1.
A
I mean,
1.
biologists are always setting off fireworks, I think. So.
I mean, I am inclined. Like it says, occupation die, but you know, if we thought of it more broadly as your background, we know that you're a regular party host. I think it's plausible that you can have a die for your experience with fireworks and roll an extra light die for that.
And you can always reroll.
You can always reroll.
The additional die is a 2, so I think I will reroll.
Okay. So add your dark die.
How do I roll more than one die at a time?
If you just click on the die you want to roll, then you should get a little icon at the bottom of the screen that kind of is a circle with an arrow, and that's the reroll. Does that?
Okay.
What have you got?
A 2.
A 2. But did you roll a dark die as well? Because your reroll, you have to add a dark die.
So when you reroll now, you should be rolling all 3, basically.
I got a 5 on the dark die, so I'll take that.
Okay. So your stress will increase by 1, but you succeed and may get an advantage. I mean, fireworks are illegal in Australia, so I again don't really know what we're talking about here. Do you want to describe what it looks like as the firework hits the giant?
So I think it's one of the big boomy ones. I'm not sure what the specific name is, but kind of because it was brought to the park in the first place, it was already in a plastic bag, so he's not worried about the rain as he's setting it off. But he kind of crouches down, pulls it out of his coat pocket where he'd stuffed it, and just angles it towards the approaching giant and just fires it, and it shoots across the parking lot, I guess, towards and passes probably pretty close to Rowan and Keener before it hits the giant.
Cool. So the giant is absolutely staggered. It's knocked down. I don't really know if in real life fireworks have a concussive, have a kind of kinetic impact, but we're going to say that it does. It knocks the giant back. Agent Rowan, you just developed a disorder about loud noises.
Oh no.
How do you react to the sound of the firework going off?
Let me see. The disorder rules. I may fight, flight, freeze, or suppress my disorder by rolling a dark die.
Yep.
I roll the dark die. I get a 1.
Okay. So I guess you do all right. You like it shakes you, but you're okay.
Yeah. I for a second I think that one of those rocks has just landed right next to me again. But then with the I see the it's like the 4th of July in here.
Yeah. So Brandon's body has fallen like quite close to where you are. What do you do, as well as Keener's?
Well, I guess I've rolled over on top of Keener, right? What do I see as I look down at his face?
I mean, nothing really. He's gonna grab back at you. He's gonna be like wrestling you to try and throw you off him.
If he's fighting back, then I beat the shit out of him. Like handgun, butt of the gun in my hand, like smacking him across the face.
All right. Well, so it'll be a combat roll again, I guess, and the injury that you're going to be looking at is just bruising.
Yeah.
You're happy to go ahead with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a person I can hit.
All right. So just make your basic roll.
3. I don't barely succeeds, but not in the way I intended. I'm going to re-roll that with a dark die.
Mm-hmm.
That's better. That's a 5 on the dark die. So my stress goes back up again. Be on a second disorder by the end of this. Easily.
And you're also going to take an injury as harm that's just bruising.
Mhm.
So he does he gets some good shots in, but you end up, you subdue him. He's not unconscious exactly, but he's dazed, and you're in the, you're on top. You're in the clearly advantageous position.
Yeah, I imagine that he punches me in the face and I smack him back with that gun, right? And then he's
Yeah.
just blood across his face, dazed in the thing, and I stagger
Mhm.
upwards. I look at Brandon, and I look at the giants as the smoke and the haze, and I guess the shapes start to move, and I look down at Brandon. Is he still unconscious?
You can examine him to work out if he's unconscious. He's
Yeah.
not moving.
He's not moving. I yell his name.
He doesn't respond.
I grab the kid.
Yeah, so you see that he's out cold. Agent Rook, a voice in your head says, "Michael wants you home. We just want the boy." What do you do?
I think feeling maybe a little emboldened by the fireworks stunt, I think Rook will just, with one hand up against the gash in his
Yeah.
head. Why?
Make a stress check.
3, so higher.
Okay, so there's this feeling of mental distress, this ripple of psychic pain that runs through your head, and they say, "The boy feeds. The boy feeds. We need the boy."
Not exactly making a good case.
Yeah.
I think Rook will just ignore it.
Okay. And you can see that the giants are now approaching Agent Rowan. The two that were still on their feet, as well as the third that is kind of climbing back to its feet after you hit it with the firework. Agent Rowan, what do you do?
I mean, I haven't heard this thing in my head, right?
No.
No. I stagger up, I grab Brandon, I look at them and I go why the fuck do you need this one? You've got so many of them, you fuckers.
I think as you say that, you realize that lining the clearing around the ranger station are dozens upon dozens of the the murderous children from before, the ones that attacked the car that blocked the road. They're all just standing back and staring at the two of you. The giants don't stop and don't say anything. They just keep walking towards you. Agent Rook, do you do anything at this point?
I think he's going to grab the automatic rifle and point it towards them and kind of shout at Rowan.
Get down.
Get out of the way. Aim's not great.
All right. So you can definitely make another combat roll. Let's just see. Yeah, so I think it's gonna it's gonna do harm to you again if you go through with this. They're gonna throw more rocks. Actually, I think you'll be attacked by the children. So the harm is that you're going to be overcome by these children. Because of the way harm stacks, it's going to be a debility, which is more serious than the injury that you've already suffered, and bring you closer to a mortal wound. But you can either open up and make a basic roll to see how well you do, or you can back down and see if you can rewind and avoid the children.
So rewind and avoid the children.
Meaning you decide not to go through with the attack.
Right. No, I think he's going to shoot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so make your basic roll.
6.
Nice. So yeah, do you want to describe what it looks like?
So with very shaky hands, he undoes the safety on the assault rifle and throwing a look at Rowan to make sure he's not in immediate danger from this. He just kind of holds the gun up against his torso to keep it as straight as he can, and starts firing. Stream of bullets.
Yeah. So,
and I think it was armor-piercing ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the giants are visibly badly wounded by this. In fact, one of them falls to the ground, and you don't know, but the way it falls makes you think that you have killed it. The other two are also badly hurt. However, you are mobbed by 6, 8 maybe of these children. Up this close, you can see that they are clearly dead. Some of them, their bodies quite badly damaged in their whatever's happened to them. But they're biting and clawing at you. And I think maybe the debility is that one manages to sink its teeth deep into your hamstring, and you have a useless left leg. So you sort of stagger, you slump to the ground. Or you fall to one knee. It's going to be harder to shoot like that. Agent Rowan, you have a moment. Like Agent Rook has definitely bought you a second with the giants. They're falling back a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that happens is there's always a cost, isn't there, to doing combat in Cthulhu Deep Green?
Yeah.
Like you can't do it without being debilitated.
Well, you can only be injured.
Yeah. I mean, as this assault rifle cuts down one of the giants and the others stagger back, right? Rowan has just dived to the ground on top of Brandon. I think he rolls over, rolls over the rifle that's dropped to the ground next to him when he tackled, and then comes up and fires at the giant that was closest, and that sort of staggered back from the gunshots.
Yeah.
And he's because it didn't die. It got hit by the bullets and it didn't die. Kill this fucking thing now. That's all he can think to do.
All right. So the harm that you're going to take again is from these children mobbing you, and it's going to be. So you're already injured, aren't you? So.
Yeah.
Okay. So it will be a debility. I'm happy for you to think about what sort of debilitating injury you might take from a mob of undead children. But let's. I mean, unless you want to back down from that, let's roll your basic roll to see if you can kill the giant.
I think I'll just take that as bleeding, covered in lots of cuts and wounds and gouges and things. Okay, I think FBI officer applies to shooting somebody, even a giant. I get a 6.
Nice. Do you want to describe how you kill the giant? Because I think on a 6 you certainly kill it.
Cool. I think it's that roll over and thing and then you just see that shadow looming over Rowan's body, but the camera's focused on him, right? And then that rifle just comes up and then boom, and then you just hear something huge and heavy crashes down next to Rowan, and he scrambles up just to be mobbed by a bunch of these undead children.
Yeah. So both of you are kind of flailing under these groups of kids that are attacking you. And you can see the last remaining giant is still advancing towards Brandon, who the children haven't attacked. Agent Rook, I'll ask you first. What do you do?
So with a kind of shout of pain as his left leg buckles under him and he goes down, I think he'll call out to Brandon, trying to rouse him to get him to run.
Okay. Yeah, make a basic roll for that. See if you can wake him up.
1.
Dark die.
Against
do you
my- yeah.
want to add a dark die and re-roll?
Yeah. Let's do that. 5.
Okay.
No dark die, so
Agent succeeds and may get an advantage. So you see Brandon's like head kind of snap up. He's, you know, he's still disoriented. He's just woken up from being knocked out. What do you yell to him?
run, get out of here.
So he will. He'll drag himself to his feet and start running. I guess back towards the ranger station. That's probably the place that makes sense for him to run towards, because you'll still be able to see the door. Make a stress test just for being chewed on by a bunch of undead children.
4.
Okay. Does that increase your stress?
No.
Okay.
Well, my stress is 4. Is it higher or equal?
It's got to be higher.
Right.
Cool. Agent Rowan, what are you doing?
So Brandon is running towards the ranger station with this giant loping after him, right?
Yes.
I would like heavily bleed. You know, like I'm heavily bleeding from all of these undead children, right? And I think, you know, like the move that I want to do is stagger after this giant and unload the rifle into its back, right, or my pistol or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I imagine that like this is, you know, me like the kids are all over me, and then you just hear bang, 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 and then staggering, like heavily bleeding, right? Because I believe this is going to make me mark up mortal wound.
Yeah, and a mortal wound is effectively going to be fatal.
Yeah. There's no hospital in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what I'd like to do. You know, being completely dogpiled by these zombie children, and then
All right.
you know, boom, 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 and then last couple of rounds in the rifle, boom, boom, boom.
All right. Well, let's have a basic roll to see how effective you are. And I certainly think you'll be adding a dark die to this one.
Yeah, well, I re-roll with the dark die. Hang on, there we go, 5. It did a weird thing where it showed all threes like 4 times in a row, and then suddenly stopped on a 5-3-3 again. But yeah, I get a 5.
All right, the agent succeeds and may get an advantage. So you know that you get off these shots, but you die without ever knowing whether you were able to hit the giant or not. But Rook, you see the third and final giant fall to the ground, and you realize that Rowan has given his life to save you from these things.
As I stagger out, firing, right, like another one of those kids just crawls up my back and rips out my throat with its hands. Right.
Rook, you still have a pile of monstrous children climbing all over you. That's your immediate problem. What do you want to do about that?
Flailing probably isn't too helpful. The assault rifle isn't useful. I think he's gonna, he'll pull out the pistol that Rowan gave him and try and position that usefully.
All right. I think maybe just a stress test here rather than a combat test, just to kind of beat them away or get them off you.
2, lower.
All right. So I guess you kind of knock them away. They're definitely like losing their drive now that the giants are dead. So yeah, I think. Well, I guess I'll ask your feedback from both of you. We've got about 20 minutes left to the session. I'd love to leave time for kind of stars and wishes. Do you want to just go to epilogues here, or do you want to play out Rook's attempts to cover up what's just happened?
I'd love to hear what Rook's gonna do in the wake of this thing. But I feel that is the epilogue as well, to a certain extent, though, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, Agent Rook, what's next?
So I figure he'd kind of like drag himself over to where Rowan fell to, see if there's anything he can do. And upon finding that there isn't, he'll start making his way back toward the ranger station, and could he call Agent Jace?
Yeah. From inside or outside the ranger station?
I think outside before going in.
Mhm.
And he'd call the contact.
Yep. Agent Rook?
Yep. It's contained. I think it's contained.
Very good. You've completed your orders?
There's 2 Brandons. You're going to have to explain that to his parents.
Yeah. And the Rangers believe everything is, everything has a mundane and natural explanation.
I'll get to that. They know something weird is going on. Something destroyed a bunch of cars. I can't blame that on a bear. I tried.
Right. Well, very good work, Agent Rook. I'll debrief you and Agent Rowan when you get back.
Agent Rowan didn't make it.
Well, I trust that you'll dispose of his remains appropriately.
And Rook will just kind of freeze on the steps, and like that's part of that. Yeah.
Yes, you will need to dispose of any evidence of what has happened. You understand that?
And holding the phone, he'll look back at the children's bodies, the giant bodies, the dead Rowan, and go, great. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that might be a good moment to end on. Agent Rook just looking at the debris and trying to figure out what the fuck he's going to do. Cool. Well, thanks very much. That was fun. Yeah, I'd love to do a round of stars and, well, I guess wishes is not so, yeah. So maybe not stars and wishes exactly, but, something that you is it roses and thorns, the other thing? Like something you enjoyed, and just any feedback about the system, like any thoughts on that? Drew, do you want to go first?
Sure. Stars. Roses. The whole. I really liked playing with Rowan, and the interactions between like the seasoned agent and the guy who probably shouldn't be here were fun, and I did not really have any kind of expectations where the scenario was going. I've not looked into Delta Green much or seen this before, so it was definitely interesting and exciting. So thanks for having me play along.
Cool. Anything about the system or the game that you had questions about, or
No,
didn't enjoy so much?
I don't think so. I've played a lot of Trophy Dark, and the little tweaks to this are really interesting. I like the way combat is in this, and the knowing the price you have to pay whether you decide to do it or not. No, I enjoyed it.
Cool. Well,
Well, stars to Agent Rook. It's funny. I actually called another character of mine Rook the other day, and it didn't occur to me how much more confusing it would make my head to have three of them running around now. But anyways, I enjoyed having, like you say, that relationship between the two. And I was kind of, it definitely let me like have you as the kind of like the conscience, or like offering the sort of like the innocence point of view on things. Like I don't, we need to go back to when you say we should go back to the radio station because of like whatever, it was more convincing to me than it's the survival kind of thing. I really enjoyed the scenario. I've read it before when I first read Delta Green, but I thought you ran it really well. I know it being a Delta Green scenario, that there's probably like stuff that was going on at the Devil's Chair or something, right? Like there was probably somewhere we could have gone that would have been more spoopy and whatever, right? But I liked very much being characters who had no fucking clue what was going on, was in way over their heads. There's only two of us, and it felt very in keeping with Delta Green. And I love that ending of Rook being like, "Oh yeah, job's done." I'm not saying like I need help to cover it up, just being told like it's your job to cover it up. And I got to die as well, which is always a highlight. I gained a disorder. And then ground myself into meat trying to stop the supernatural, which I feel is the two themes of Delta Green. So yeah, it was great. The system wise, the first time playing Cthulhu Deep Green, I've played quite a bit of Cthulhu Dark and like some hacks of Cthulhu Dark that have been on the Gauntlet that are in this sort of mythos sphere, like a World War II one, for example. And I like it. It seems very suited to campaign play with the stress and the disorders and stuff. The combat feels like it's a case of the more agents you have, the more meaningful things you can do with combat, no matter how many advantages you secure yourself, equipment wise or positioning wise or anything like that, which is not inherently a problem. I think it's more because of in this particular situation, right, it's either you effectively surrender to the giants, or you're kind of fucked. You've not got a huge range of options when you're in one FBI agent and an EPA biologist. Maybe if we'd all been Army Rangers, or like I'd originally thought, or Park Ranger, or survivalists, or whatever, we could have just hoofed it through the woods and done whatever, right? But I really enjoyed it. I'm glad. I didn't think I'd ever get a chance to play Operation Fulminate. So I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad we came back for round 2 as well.
Yeah, me too.
I really enjoyed the home anchor scenes as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So from me, the start, like exactly like both of you said, the dynamic between Rook and Rowan was so good, so fun. So like a buddy cop movie or something like that with the really different personalities. That was really fun. The system, I really enjoyed it. After the first session, I had some questions, but this time it all fell into place for me much better, partly because I read the rules again, which is always useful, but also just, we didn't really get into the combat mechanics last time, and seeing how that played out was really interesting. I would definitely be into like trying to run it in more of a campaign mode rather than a one-shot, because like just the things I think it does well, like before the climactic battle where you died, I was like, they're just so resilient. Like, I'm used to games where the characters are like on the verge of death constantly, and I was like, oh man, they get 6 stress, and then they just get a disorder, and then they get 6 more stress, and then they can have a host. Like, I'm never going to kill these guys. But actually, as soon as physical violence happens, you're in like terrible danger. And I think that would be fun to play out in a campaign where you can take all kinds of agonizing, soul-destroying, mental damage, psychic damage, but the moment that you actually try and fight something, you're in real jeopardy. I think that would be really fun. Well, thanks very much, both of you. I'll just end the recording here.